Hello dear students, welcome to BAJIRAO IAS Academy, the Hindu News Analysis. In today's news analysis, there are few important articles that are given in the Hindu newspaper. So we will analyze those news articles from the exam perspective. Yesterday, I have given you a question regarding the Election Commission of India. Now we will try to answer this particular question. So the question was, consider the following statements about the Election Commission of India. So the question was asking about the functioning or Election Commission of India. First and foremost, the Election Commission of India is a 5-member body. This statement is incorrect because the Election Commission of India is not a 5-member body, rather it is a 3-member body. In the Election Commission of India, there will be one Chief Election Commissioner plus 2 other election commissioners. So because of this reason, this statement is clearly incorrect. Second statement, Union Ministry of Home Affairs decides the election schedule for the conduct of both general elections and by-elections. So if you carefully understand Article 324 of the Indian Constitution, it directly mentions that the schedule for the conduct of both general elections and by-elections is given by the Election Commission of India itself. So there is no role for the Union Ministry of Home Affairs in deciding the election schedule. So the second statement is incorrect because it is not Union Ministry of Home Affairs, rather Election Commission of India. The third statement says Election Commission resolves the disputes regarding or with respect to splits, mergers of the recognized political parties. So this statement is correct because Election Commission decides the disputes or it resolves the disputes with respect to splits and merger of different political parties. So if you can eliminate statement number 1 and statement number 2, only you left with the option number D, that is 3. So the correct answer for this question is option 3. So next question is, who among the following economists introduced the term economic development? So this is today's practice question and this is also a previous year question. So that is asked by the UPSC. Okay, so the question is, who among the following economists introduced the term human development? Option A, Mehboob ul Haq. Option B, Amartya Sen. Option C, Adam Smith, and option D, both A and B. If you carefully look at this particular news analysis session, you will understand the correct answer for this particular question. Okay, so you can answer this question after this session. So if you carefully follow this session, okay, so please answer those please answer this particular question in the comment section given below. Okay, so the first article for today's discussion is simultaneous elections. Okay, so simultaneous elections. Now when I say simultaneous elections, what does this simultaneous elections means? Simultaneous elections means that at the central level there are general elections or elections to Lok Sabha, and at the same time state elections, right? Central elections and state elections are being held every 5 years. However, please understand, India is a federal polity. So since India is a federal polity, we have different governments at both center and state levels. So therefore both center and state levels we need to conduct elections. At the central level we need to conduct elections for Lok Sabha, and at the state level we need to conduct elections for state legislative assembly. However, in India the problem is that we have been conducting elections to different states in different times, and there is a thought that why don't we conduct the general elections and elections of all states at once, and that particular idea is known as simultaneous elections, right? Simultaneous elections essentially means conducting both general elections and state elections at once. For example, in the year 2024, we will have general elections, right? So in a similar case, the elections for all state governments should also be conducted in one single year. So it has number of benefits. So what will be the benefits, and we will understand those benefits. But before understanding that simultaneous elections in a detailed manner, first understand there was a panel that was appointed by the central government. Okay, so this particular panel will study the feasibility of conducting simultaneous elections in India. So if I repeat, simultaneous elections is conducting elections for both Lok Sabha as well as the state legislative assemblies of all state at once. So therefore, this particular panel is headed by our former president Sri Ramnath Kovind. Okay, so he heads the panel that studies the simultaneous elections. So this particular panel on simultaneous elections had submitted a report to the President Sri Draupadi Murmu. Because of that reason, it is in news. So in fact, the panel, which is headed by Sri Ramnath Kovind, had recommended that India, we need to conduct simultaneous elections, and this is what this particular panel has recommended. Now in this context, we will understand what is simultaneous elections. So simultaneous elections refer to structuring the Indian election cycle by synchronizing the elections of Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies. So that essentially means that we need to structure the existing election cycle in such a way that we can conduct elections to both Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies in one single time. So that is the key idea behind the simultaneous elections. However, this is also called with the name one nation, one election. You very often hear about this particular term, conducting elections for entire nation at a one single time, and that is one nation, one election idea. Okay, so this essentially means that the voters will cast their vote for electing members to the Lok Sabha and at the same time state legislative assemblies on a single day. So therefore, there is no need for the voters to cast their votes for both Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies on different days. Okay, so at the same time in a phased manner as case may be. Okay, so this is the idea behind one nation, one elections or the simultaneous elections. So if you look at the current scenario of conducting elections in India, so what is the current scenario of conducting elections in India? So currently we have been conducting elections for Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies at different times. Okay, so all the state legislative assemblies may not go to the polls at one single year, and at the same time we also know that Lok Sabha elections are held once in every 5 years. So therefore, if you can clearly look at the current scenario, the elections to the state assemblies and Lok Sabha held separately. So those elections held separately whenever the incumbent government's 5-year term ends and whenever this particular house is dissolved. Even if the house dissolved before the 5 years of the term of the house, then also there will be a need to conduct elections. So because of this reason, the simultaneous polls or the idea of one nation, one election also comes up with number of other challenges. Now before discussing those challenges and opportunities, first we will understand a brief history of the simultaneous polls in India. So what is the history of simultaneous polls? So with the dissolution of the Lok Sabha or dissolution, simultaneous elections were a norm until 1971. Okay, so until 1967 until 1967 in India we had seen simultaneous elections. That means elections to both Lok Sabha as well as the state legislative assemblies that we have seen till 1967. However, this particular mechanism or this particular structure or synchronization was got disturbed by the dissolution of some state legislative assemblies in the year 1968 and 1969 as well. Okay, so what happened in 1968 and 1969? Some state legislative assemblies have got dissolved. Now, dissolution of state legislative assemblies means that we cannot conduct simultaneous elections after that, because once these two state legislative assemblies have got dissolved, immediately there is a need to conduct re-election for these two state legislative assemblies. On the other hand, what if the center term not completes? Okay, so this is where this particular synchronization has got disturbed after 1968. Okay, so the Lok Sabha has got dissolved in the year 1970. Okay, so in different years, both Lok Sabha and different state legislative assemblies have got dissolved. So hence there is a need to conduct elections for each of these, each of these houses at different phases. Now revert to simultaneous election. So the idea of reverting back to simultaneous polls was first mooted by the Election Commission annual report in the year 1983. Okay, so Election Commission of India first actually mooted the idea of simultaneous elections in the year 1983. Because of certain advantages, we will understand those advantages why Election Commission of India had called for simultaneous elections. After that, the Law Commission of India report in 1999 and 2018 had also called for the simultaneous elections. After that, the Niti Aayog working paper in 2017 also called for the simultaneous polls. So because of this reason, the center has been looking forward to conduct simultaneous polls across the country, and that is being called with the name One Nation, One Election. Now after that, we will understand some of the key recommendations of the Law Commission 2018 report with respect to the simultaneous polls in India. This particular report by Law Commission examined both legal and the constitutional questions that are involved in conducting simultaneous elections in India. So, apart from examining both legal and constitutional questions, the Law Commission of India has also suggested few recommendations with respect to simultaneous elections. India must implement those recommendations in order to conduct simultaneous elections in a smooth manner. Now, what are the recommendations? We will understand them. Firstly, appropriate amendments to the Constitution. Indian Constitution has to be amended to conduct simultaneous polls. So this is the first biggest challenge. And apart from that, the Parliament should also amend the Representation of People Act 1951. So this is the first recommendation of the Election Commission of India for the conducting simultaneous polls. So after that, we should also talk about the no confidence motion. We need to replace this no confidence motion with a constructive vote of confidence. Now in India, whenever the no confidence motion is introduced against the government, the incumbent government, that very often leads to the fall of the government. If government falls, then there is an immediate need for conducting elections, and that also disturbs the election cycle. Okay, so that also disturbs the simultaneous polls. So because of this reason, the Election Commission of India, or the Law Commission has introduced the constructive vote of no confidence. This is the second recommendation. And third recommendation of the Law Commission is in case of a hung assembly. Now when I say hung assembly, what does it mean? So hung assembly essentially means that when no political party has got clear majority. No political party has got clear majority, so that is called with a name hung assembly. Okay, so the president or governor should give an opportunity to the largest party along with their pre or post poll alliance to form the government. Okay, so in case of a hung assembly, in case no party has got the clear majority, the president or governor should give an opportunity to the largest party along with their pre or post poll alliance to form the government. So in fact, this has been recommended by several other committees. For example, Sarkaria Commission, Punchi Commission on Center-State Relations. So they have also recommended this. After that, it has also recommended proper amendment to the existing anti-defection law of 1985. So this particular anti-defection law, which is included in the 10th schedule of the Indian Constitution, okay, so this has included in the 10th schedule, is also responsible for the defection of members, and that eventually lead to the fall of the government. So therefore, the Law Commission has suggested appropriate amendments to the anti-defection law as well. So after that, there should be a proper framework to synchronize the election cycle, and these are the 5 recommendations of the Law Commission of India for conducting simultaneous polls. Now in this context, we will briefly understand the advantages of conducting simultaneous polls. So it has certain advantages. First and foremost advantage is that with conducting simultaneous elections, we can significantly reduce the election expenditure. Okay, so we can significantly reduce the election expenditure by conducting this particular simultaneous polls. How? Because cost reductions for political parties. Okay, so because when elections are conducted for multiple times, the political parties have to bring star campaigners, the poll expenditure increases. So therefore, overall it increases the expenditure of different stakeholders who are involved in the election process. So therefore, the cost reduction of political parties and their candidates during the election campaigns is the first objective. And after that, there are also huge economic costs, so that are being associated with the model code of conduct. So when I say model code of conduct, this exactly means that when Election Commission of India announces schedule for conducting general elections or election to state legislative assemblies, then this model code of conduct will be in force. So in this particular model code of conduct, no party should announce any developmental programs to attract the voters. So because of this reason, there are also huge economic costs that are being involved. When there are no simultaneous elections, then different states are going for elections at different times. Then there will be need to implement the model code of conduct multiple times, and that will impact the implementation of the development programs in different states. And after that, reduce the manpower, because when different states or different tiers of governance have gone for the elections at different times, we need to regularly deploy these security forces. We need to regularly deploy the manpower to these different regions. So therefore, what happens? We are compromising on national security. That also impacting the administration since deploying these manpower. Okay, so because of all these consequences, we are going for the simultaneous polls. Okay, so it prevents duplication of efforts by the administrative and law enforcement agencies in conducting multiple elections, and this is the second advantage. And the third advantage is it improves the governance process or governance mechanism. How? Because this particular system will help the ruling parties. They can focus on the governance instead of just focusing on the elections, because the country is constantly in the election mode. So there are different states, and those different states goes for elections at different times, and the ruling party may focus on the elections rather than the governance. So if elections are conducted at only one time, then the ruling parties at the center or states can focus on the governance, so they can deliver better policies for the people. And after that, it can also boost the voter turnout. Due to regularly conducting elections, it may impact the voter turnout. Voters will not show much enthusiasm in casting their votes. However, if we can conduct elections all state legislative assembly elections as well as Lok Sabha elections in once in a 5 years. So that could increase the enthusiasm in the voters, and that increases the overall voter participation in the election process, and this is the other advantage. However, we need to understand there are certain issues which are involved in the simultaneous elections. So what are those issues? It is against federalism. So it is against federalism in the sense that, as I have already told you, that India has a federal polity. So they have their own government, and therefore it undermines the fundamental tenet of federalism, which actually constitutes the integral component of our constitutional framework. Because with the view of conducting simultaneous elections, we cannot destroy the federal features of our constitution. Secondly, we need to talk about the tenure as well, because synchronization of these elections would actually involve the curtailment or extension of the tenure of the house. Okay, so extension of the tenure would not be advisable, or it would not be appreciable. So therefore extending tenure would be another major consequence. After that, it also comes with the constitutional challenges. Please remember, the Law Commission of India, which has made certain recommendations for conducting simultaneous elections, has also recommended certain constitutional amendments. So when we talk about the constitutional challenges, this particular move would actually require amendments to the Representation of People Act 1951 and the Constitution's basic structure. So that poses a challenge for the Parliament. And after that, there are few more challenges. So those challenges are multiple amendments that have to be made. So amendments to Indian Constitution, Article 83, Article 85, Article 172, 174 and 356 of the Indian Constitution. So making multiple amendments is not easy, and while making those amendments, they may also be challenged in the Supreme Court. And it also takes a lot of time to make all these amendments to the Indian Constitution. After that, we need to talk about the practical difficulties in implementing the idea of simultaneous polls or one nation, one election. So when I say practical difficulties, what does it mean? The Election Commission sometimes holds the elections to even one state in many phases. Okay, so given this particular constraint, holding simultaneous elections for the whole country has many practical difficulties. So this essentially means that imagine a state called UP. So in order to conduct elections to a large state like UP, Election Commission of India announces a schedule, and as per the schedule, the elections for this particular state will be conducted in multiple phases. So a state like UP has been demanding elections in multiple phases. You can imagine how long it will take to conduct elections for the entire nation. So this is the practical difficulty that is being involved in this particular aspect. So after that, we need to talk about the dissolution challenges also. As I have already told you, in India we have the federal setup. We have different federal units. So therefore, what if one state legislative assembly has got dissolved? Then if it is dissolved, then immediately there is a need to conduct elections for that particular state legislative assembly. Okay, so it is possible for the Lok Sabha to prematurely dissolve on account of no confidence. It is not just with respect to Lok Sabha, and it can also happen with the state legislative assemblies. So in that case, how can you continue with the simultaneous elections or simultaneous polls after this particular dissolution? So that is a major challenge, and that has to be addressed. However, one example we can talk about is Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government faced dissolution challenge within, or no confidence motion challenge within 13 days taking power. So in this particular context also we will face such challenges. So therefore addressing those challenges is very important. However, when we talk about the simultaneous polls are actually a good idea, has to be implemented. However, there are certain concerns, and those concerns have to be addressed, and at the same time it should provide a level playing field level playing field for all state governments or all states regional parties, and at the same time these challenges and these concerns have to be addressed before proceeding into the idea of simultaneous polls. Okay, so next we will move on to the very important news article, that is the Citizenship Amendment Act. Now in recent times, Citizenship Amendment Act has been in news. The government has notified the Citizenship Amendment Act rules, and it is in controversy. It is in controversy because of few reasons. We will discuss them in a brief manner. So in this particular article, it says Home Minister Amit Shah says that they will find a way for people without documents to apply under the Citizenship Amendment Act. So in this context, we will understand briefly and then we'll come on to this article. Okay, so what does Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 actually mean? Now, before discussing that, please understand some provisions in the Constitution with respect to the citizenship. So the citizenship laws in India are derived their origins from the Constitution under Article 5 to Article 11. Indian Constitution Article 5 to Article 11 talks about the citizenship. Okay, so the citizenship laws in India have been derived from these particular articles. Apart from the articles, we also have a certain legislative sanction for the citizenship, that is the Citizenship Act of 1955. So this particular Act of 1955 has provided certain provisions. Okay, so it contains certain provisions, and these provisions are for the citizenship by birth, descent, registration and the naturalization process, right? So this essentially means that the Indian citizenship can be given or can be accorded based on the birth, descent, registration and the naturalization. Okay, so these are the methods to accord the citizenship to any citizen in India or any non-citizen in India. So we will understand the Citizenship Amendment Act and its key provisions in that is being launched or that is being initiated in the year 2019. Okay, so the Citizenship Act of 1955. Please remember, earlier there was a Citizenship Act of 1955. So it has mentioned 4 methods of according citizenship. Okay, so this particular Citizenship Act of 1955 was amended to make illegal immigrants who are Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, Christians coming from Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan, and now they are eligible for the Indian citizenship. So this is the actual idea of the Citizenship Amendment Act of 2009. So please understand, India has been sharing its borders with Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. This is true. On the other hand, in those countries, these religious groups, Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, Christians, they often found as minorities. However, these countries have officially supported exclusion of minorities from their countries, persecution of minorities in those countries. So because of that reason, those minorities have started coming to India. And those minorities also do not have enough records. So they are illegally entered into India, either legal or illegal means of entering into India to escape persecution from these countries. Okay, now those minorities who came to India will be given the citizenship. However, one thing you have to understand here, there's no Muslim community that is being involved. If a Muslim community persecuted in these countries, Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh, if they entered into India illegally or legally, they will not be given citizenship, and because of this reason, people have been started protesting against this particular Citizenship Amendment Act. Now after that, who are illegal immigrants, we will try and understand in a brief way. Okay, so who are illegal immigrants? So, or illegal migrants. Firstly, illegal immigrant enters India without valid travel documents. So they do not have a passport, they do not have the visa, and they do not have any other valid documents with themselves. They have illegally entered into India from Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan. And they also stays beyond the permitted time. So this essentially means that if a person comes to India and the visa allows him to stay for 6 months, but he stays more than 6 months, and that is also considered as illegal immigration and potentially facing persecution. For example, imagine a country like Pakistan where minorities are being persecuted. In order to escape persecution in the Pakistan, they have illegally entered into India. So they will also be considered as illegal immigrants. So after that, the deportation and imprisonment is also known as the illegal immigration into India. So this is the definition of illegal immigrants or illegal migrants. And those from these communities who entered India on or before December 31st, 2014 would not be treated as illegal immigrants, providing citizenship through naturalization. And this is what the Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019 has mandated. Okay, so these all categories from 3 countries, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. So the minorities that I have already told you, if they entered as illegal immigrants before December 31st, 2014, they will no longer be treated as illegal immigrants and they will be provided citizenship under the naturalization. Please remember, naturalization is one method through which Indian citizenship can be accorded through the Citizenship Act of India 1955. Citizenship Act of India 1955. However, one concern is that Muslim minorities have not been included in this particular minorities list. Because of that reason, the Muslims have been protesting against the Citizenship Amendment Act. However, we need to talk about the relaxation as well. So when I say relaxation, the amendment has relaxed the residency requirement from 11 years to just 6 years. Okay, there will be a lesser residency requirement for the citizens or non-citizens or illegal immigrants to get the Indian citizenship through naturalization. Okay, so through the process of naturalization. However, certain regions are exempted from the Citizenship Amendment Act. This particular Citizenship Amendment Act will not be applicable for those regions. So what are those regions? The amendment for illegal migrants will not apply to certain tribal areas which are under the 6th schedule. Okay, so in 6th schedule, it deals with the administration and governance of certain tribal areas. So they include Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Tripura. These 4 states comes under the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution. And at the same time, this particular Citizenship Amendment Act will not be applicable for few states which have the inner line permit under the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulations 1873. So this is the exemption under the Citizenship Amendment Act. So after that, there are certain arguments which are supporting the Citizenship Amendment Act. So what are those arguments? We will understand them. So Indian government has been providing citizenship to the minorities who are persecuted. So therefore, we can consider that the government has been providing them citizenship on humanitarian grounds. Okay, so because CAA provides a life of dignity and rights to religious minorities who have been facing the threat of persecution on the grounds of their faith in the theocratic neighboring states. So theocratic states means that the state actually follows one particular religion. The state actually favors one particular religion. When I say theocratic religion, Pakistan can be a theocratic religion, Afghanistan can be a theocratic religion, as well as Bangladesh is also a theocratic religion. So therefore, the government of India has been providing them citizenship on humanitarian grounds. So this is the first argument in support of CAA. After that, India has certain civilizational ethos. So the civilizational ethos essentially means that India well known as a natural home for persecuted minorities. If I can say, one example is Parsis and the other example is Jews. Okay, so this is also part of the civilizational ethos of India. And this particular Citizenship Amendment Act is in line with the nation's civilizational ethos, right? So it is part of the nation's civilizational ethos that we have been providing citizenship, or we have been providing shelter to those who have been facing the threat of persecution in their countries. After that, we can also talk about the reasonable classification as one argument here. Okay, so this reasonable classification has actually differentiates based on religion, but only to accommodate the persecuted religious minorities. We have been accommodating only the persecuted religious minorities. So which is reasonable restrictions under Article 14 of the Indian Constitution, right? After that, the national interest should also be kept in mind. So when I say national interest, it will deter the illegal immigration into India in the future from these specific communities which are already given the citizenship, because it also acts as a bulwark against the infiltration from designated Muslim majority nations. There will be no infiltration from these Muslim majority nations. So that essentially means the Muslims from these Muslim majority nations will not infiltrating into India. Imagine if Muslims are also included into this and Muslims are also given the citizenship, then these countries are Muslim majority countries and those people start infiltrating into India, and therefore that will have a huge negative consequences. Okay, so these are the arguments in support of the Citizenship Amendment Act. After that, we will also understand certain negative consequences with respect to the Citizenship Amendment Act. So the negative consequences, when I say negative consequences with respect to the Citizenship Amendment Act, so it also comes with the certain negative consequences. First and foremost, it will have a lot of pressure on existing resources. We also have limited resources and we have excessive population. So this could have a lot of impact on existing resources. So this could be one challenge. Now, the other major challenge is that India is a secular country. So we all know about that. Even though India is a secular country providing citizenship on the religious lines and at the same time excluding one particular religion from this particular list is also considered as arbitrary, and because of this reason certain communities have been protesting against the Citizenship Amendment Act. Apart from that, there are also few other challenges. So they may have internal security threats. There may be internal security threats, and these minorities may face the discrimination in India. Okay, so there are also chances that these minorities may face the discrimination. They may not be able to earn decent livelihood opportunities, and at the same time there will be responsibility related issues. The state government should take the responsibility of these immigrants, or the center will take the responsibility of these immigrants. So therefore there are a lot of challenges. In fact, India has also been facing international pressure with respect to the implementation of the Citizenship Amendment Act. So therefore, in this context, what India have to do is that it is now under sub judice. There were petitions that were filed in the Supreme Court that has been challenging the Citizenship Amendment Act. So that violates fundamental right under Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. And at the same time, there are several states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, they have been strongly opposing the implementation of the Citizenship Amendment Act. So similar to this, there is no stakeholder consultation by the central government. This has also been posing a lot of challenges. However, we can say that it is the responsibility of India, that India has been providing citizenship on humanitarian grounds to persecuted minorities from these Muslim majority countries, and at the same time not allowing certain communities or Muslim kind of communities which have the Muslim majority population in these countries can be considered as a well calculated option from the government side. However, since it is under the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court will take a call on the Citizenship Amendment Act and its overall constitutionality and validity. Okay, so after that we can also talk about the Human Development Index, India's Human Development Index. So when I say India's Human Development Index, recently UNDP, United Nations Development Program, has released, or it has come up with the Human Development Index, that is HDI. So that is HDI, Human Development Index. So that particular Human Development Index by the UNDP has said that India is ranked at 134th country. Okay, so so India is ranked at the 134th in the global Human Development Index, right? So in this context, we will try and understand briefly. The Human Development Index is actually a measure of countries' achievement in key developmental areas. Okay, so it actually measures the country's achievement in key developmental areas, and it goes beyond only income criteria to measure the well-being of individuals, and it is released by the UNDP. It goes beyond the income criteria. So the development or the achievement of these countries is calculated not just based on the income criteria, or it calculates based on the well-being of the individuals. It is being released by UNDP. So the index is based on the human development approach. So that approach is being developed by Mehboob-ul-Haq and Amartya Sen's work on human capabilities. Okay, so these two scientists have developed a specific capabilities approach, and this particular HDI index is based on the capabilities approach of Mehboob-ul-Haq and Amartya Sen, right? So often framed in terms of whether people are able to be and do desirable things in life. Okay, so this is with respect to the Human Development Index. However, this particular Human Development Index has three major indicators. The indicators include health, life expectancy at birth. So when we talk about health, life expectancy at birth, education, so expected years of schooling and mean years of schooling, and living standard, gross national income per capita, and these are the three major indicators that are covered under the Human Development Index by the UNDP. So after that, what this UNDP Human Development Index says? So India ranks 134 in the Global Human Development Index that is released by UNDP. Okay, so the report name is Breaking the Gridlock, Reminding or Reimagining Cooperation in a Polarized World is the name of the report. Now the report stated that India ranked 135 in the year 2021. However, India moved up one position. Now India ranks 134 in the year 2022. So a total of a total of 193 countries have been given this Human Development Index of UNDP by UNDP, and India ranks 134 position. However, if you look at India's position with our neighbors like China and Sri Lanka, India is far lower, right? China ranks around 70s, and Sri Lanka is also in the better position, and Bhutan is also in the better position. So therefore there is a need for India to make rapid strides on this front. Okay, so that's all in this lecture, and sorry for the inconvenience, and thank you.